Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Savvy Money Show. And today we're having another episode on the economy and what types of stocks and shares. Why value investing isn't dead, but it hasn't been as effective as growth investing since 2008. Now, it's still a good way of investing, still a way for us to value company, but growth investing has been more lucrative. Now, I always go back to this, the national debt clock, because it just scares me so much. People will, when I say some of the things I say, people will go and blame Jerome Powell and the Fed, and and I want to reassure people I'm not blaming him. If anything, his hands are tied by the fact that during the 2008 crisis, US and UK governments were quick to drop interest rates to zero, and they had plenty of time to bring it back up again, but for political reasons they didn't. If they had brought interest rates back up to a normal level, rather than the Fed pumping trillions into the economy, the first tool he would have used was dropping interest rates. Instead, they were left with these things to do. Now, the thing is, for those of us who are valuing by price to earnings, price to book, price to sales, and I'm one of them who values a company that way, that is not the way that we are winning. The more lucrative way, yes, we will chug away with a 2%, 5%, if we're lucky 10% profit, but in March you could have thrown a dartboard filled with ticker symbols and you'd have got 10%. Now, you basically, what's happening is people are going into growth stocks, your Zooms, your Teslas, your Amazons, your Googles, your Apples, and they're valuing them because in a different format. They're valuing them on their future growth. And what's happening is the share price is going up. Now, Tesla, by traditional valuation methods, is a crazy valuation for what it's doing at the moment. I'm not saying it doesn't deserve to be valued at. When you look at the likes of Nikola, when it doesn't even have a product out, which is insane valuation. Now, the problem comes when these companies can borrow money against their market cap, borrow money against their valuation, and then issue bonds against it and get money against it. Now, I've spoken about some of these companies before. I've spoken about how you had the companies that were safe for decades, and then they saw people instead piling into all these other, at the time, growth companies like FB and Apple and all. And in 2014, 2015, when interest rates were low, you had McDonald's who had at the time had a sideways growth, no growth, and what they did instead was they borrowed heavily to do share repurchase scheme and stimulate fake growth. People saw this as growth and they put money in, which stimulated the share price again, and on it went until in the end McDonald's ended up with such a huge debt to equity that if you go and check them, they actually, yeah, it says 110% debt to equity. They owe 10 billion more than they have in assets. Remember, these aren't just a food company, these are a real estate company. They also consider themselves a technology company because they've put new tech in it, which has cost a lot of money. They have a finance company because they lease products, they lease things to their franchisees. But they are heavily overextended. I'm not bagging on McDonald's, don't think I am. I love their Big Macs, as you can tell from the size of me. But and I hate the way the milkshake machine is always broken during summer when you really need it. But what I love is when you see these trends and you can warn people of these trends, and we have zero interest rate at the moment. We have huge growth in the stock market, and we see these people, we have all these borrowing programs for these companies. Now we have the PPP program where they don't have to pay their payroll for a few months. So you're going to get these companies going and borrowing to try and promote growth. They are going to be overextending. Now people are going to be looking at last year's debt to equity, and in next quarter they will be looking at last quarter's debt to equity. So these companies are going, oh, our debt is fairly low. We've hardly got any debt. There's plenty of people with 60, 70%, even 90%, some even over 100%. So why don't we load the boat with debt, fast track, make some acquisitions, and try and force our growth, get ourselves on the map, and we might get on a spending spree where it comes back, and then we can use that to pay off some of the debt. So you've got to be careful with the shares you're going into. People are saying McDonald's is a company for life because of the growth they've been showing, but that's fake growth. So debt to equity is one you've got to check, and I don't believe people are checking it properly. This is the first one you've got to check. Price to earnings is just a confirmation one, because the Fed they're thinking the Fed's propping up these businesses. I've got no risks. We've got all these zombie companies being propped up. There's no risk. I'll just keep borrowing. The Fed will bail me out. So what they're doing is they're working on that thesis until in the end the Fed pulls the rug away from them, under them, and then you'll end up with the biggest crash you've seen. the Fed will withdraw funding, the banks will call in all these loans. At the same time they call in the mortgages, and then all these companies will be doing what Carnival will be doing, trying to sell off. And then you will be having companies like Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, those with all the money, even Apple, who have huge amount of cash on hand, ready in the wings. People were saying to me, why haven't Amazon taken over Workhorse? And I think Workhorse is an amazing company, because they get the electric trucks they want for deliveries, they get the horsefly, they get the technology. I said, well, maybe the app and the tech doesn't interact with Amazon's, but the fact is, they're thinking somewhere down the line, all this propping up is going to be pulled away, and they're going to crash, and then they'll pick it up for pennies on the dollar. And if it doesn't, they'll wait until further down the line where there's further growth, and they'll pay a bit more. It doesn't matter. Once they'll either buy it for pennies in the dollar, or they'll wait till further down the line where it's fully proven. Either way, it's a win-win for them. But, you know, and if they don't, they'll go for someone else, purely because they have the money to do that and the power to do that. The same with all these other companies, they can wait, the companies with money. That's why you should look at cash on hand, debt to equity. That's the main things to look at right now. Anyway, later on I'll be doing a video on Tesla and what they need to do to justify the valuation. I said I think the valuation's high. I only think the valuation's high for where they are at the moment. I think they can go higher, and I think they can justify being higher, but I'll be doing a video on what they need to do to justify being this high at the moment. Anyway, if you find any of today's entertainment helpful, don't forget to smash the lovely like button, helps with YouTube algorithm. If you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe, become part of the Savvy Money Show family. If you're looking for a free trading platform which to trade your stocks and shares, don't forget to check out the links in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.